In fact, I told her on our first date, I was like, "I'm gonna marry you."
Said that on the first date? You said it?
Yeah.
He was proposing to me all the time, almost every 2 weeks, like going for walks, and he just stopped me and stared me deeply into the eyes. Sweetheart, will you marry me? So he was proposing for a good year, almost 2.
Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. And this is Couples Synergy.
Welcome back to another episode of Couples Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean. And this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Check us out online at couplesynergy.com or on Facebook and Instagram at Couples Synergy. And please subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couples Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for over 20 years.
You know, everyone says you should work on your relationship, but nobody teaches us how. So we've created this podcast to teach people what they can do to create the relationship they've always dreamed of
with the partner they fell in love with. On today's episode, we welcome Beau Bissett and his wife, Linda. Beau Bissett is a health practitioner and founder of Harmonie. He is the author of the book Form: Emotional Surgery for a Healthy Relationship with Food. Welcome to our podcast, Beau and Linda.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
This is awesome. And this is the first time we're actually interviewing someone in Taiwan, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's a cool country. So if you ever get a chance, definitely recommend coming over here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. One of these days. So, we want to get into your story. We want to understand more about Harmonie. Before we do that, let's learn a little bit about the two of you. How old are you? How long have you been together? And what is it that you do for a living?
All right, sweetheart, you want to start?
Okay, I actually just had my birthday a couple of weeks ago, and we had a wonderful birthday that both surprised me with. So I just turned 46. And
happy birthday.
Thank you very much. It was a great birthday. So I'm a mix of coach for students, for homeschool students and world school and unschooled students. And I help them and I guide them into finding their passions and achieving their goals and helping them complete their projects. And then I'm working on the sound healing. So I'm also a sound healer, and I use monochords, I use singing bowls and many other tools to help clients achieve that level of relaxation and so on. So I do both of this job at the moment.
Wonderful. And Beau?
I'm the same age. I'm 46. My birthday was in March. And I live in Taiwan, and I work on Harmonie full time. So my wife, what she didn't mention was that she also does like energy work, which is like when I first started going through the work that has now become Harmonie. She really helped me with one of the big emotions that I was processing was anxiety, and oh man, she really was really there for me and helped me move me through that process. So.
That's awesome. And how long have you been together?
5 years. This month, the end of this month, right?
That's right. We're gonna have our anniversary coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, right.
Can you tell us the story of how you met?
Oh my God, it was amazing. We actually met online, and we talked for a few weeks, and like when we started we're just chatting on like online, right? And as we were sending messages, I was like, oh my God, this woman's amazing. It was just like, it was fireworks from the beginning. And our first date, it was actually a short date because she had some other plans, but like she was on my end of town. We were, kind of lived not too far away, but anyway, so she was like, yeah, I want to see you, blah, blah, blah. And so we met up and we went to this lake, and it was just like, it was just amazing. Like as soon as I saw her, I was like, oh my God, it's just, I knew it. Like everything's true. Like, you know, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's funny, she's adventurous, like she's everything I've always wanted. And in fact, I told her on our first date, I was like, I'm going to marry you. And
Wow.
yes.
Said that
And,
on the first date? You said it?
yeah.
Yes. I was a little bit surprised and taken aback, but then at the same time, it felt like a natural thing, that the idea of being married for some reason, you know. So like he said, like right away we hit it off. Within 2-3 weeks, I knew that I found someone that was very, very special and that I could share a lot with, you know. And yeah, after we first met,
It was like fireworks. It was just literally fireworks.
Were you
Yeah.
guys on a dating platform?
Yeah.
sort of, yeah.
Which one?
I forgot the name. It's been so long. What is it called? It's an obscure one, you know. It's like a
Okay.
platform, yeah, local one.
It was
Local.
it was one of the local ones.
Now, were
Yeah.
you both in Taiwan at the time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so are you both from Taiwan originally, or when did you get there?
I'm actually from Brazil. I was born and I grew up in Brazil, and I've lived in many other countries before coming to Taiwan. But I've been in Taiwan for a long time, about almost 25, 26 years.
Oh,
So this is home right now for us, or for me at least.
And I'm same. I wasn't born in Taiwan. I was born in America. I'm from North Carolina. I don't know if you can pick up on my Southern accent. But yeah, I was born there, and then in my 20s, basically after drug and alcohol addiction, I just pretty much packed up and ran away, which had become my pattern by that point. And yeah, I ended up in Taiwan. I've been here 3 or 4 times. I can't remember, but I've like gone and left. I left and went to Vietnam and Spain and Mexico and in Europe, just running. Basically, I spent most of my adult life running. And when Linda and I met, I had stopped running in a way, like she and I, you know, as good as we were in our good times, like we still had some really big blow ups, argument wise and stuff. And in those instances, when I was 12, my parents sat my brother and I down and said, we're getting a divorce. And my first instinct, I got up and ran out of the house. I just ran away.
Mhm.
And that became my pattern, right? So basically, when Linda and I would have arguments, I would freak out. I would just like, all right, this is it, I'm out, you know, I can't do this anymore. And like, you know, and that was it, right? And then I would have to like, you know, come back and like, you know, shower her with like, you know, so many I'm sorry's. And I remember one time, do you remember the room that I plastered in sticky notes?
Yeah.
Well, we had a room which was our yoga room, which is our chill out room. Like it was not a big space, but it wasn't a small space either. And I literally from floor to ceiling, every single wall I covered in multicolored
Sticky note.
3M sticky notes with I love you, sweetheart, you're my world, blah, blah. I mean, just love everywhere. So yeah, that was one of my I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then we end up calling that room the love room after.
Yeah.
Oh.
Nice. Wow. Okay. So the relationship stopped you from running.
It did. She like you know, when we met, like I was already like just busting my butt trying to heal, trying to get better, trying to, you know, because I'd been in several accidents when I was younger. I'd wrecked my body physically, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, also did some internal damage as well. And so I was just fighting and just trying to my best to level up and be the person that I knew I could become. But my all the stuff in my head, all my emotions is what was keeping me from really leveling up and moving forward. And so, when we met, I was going through that, and she was, I don't think she didn't realize it at first, but like she was yearning. Well, I think she did realize. Well, I don't know. You tell us, sweetheart. Like you were kind of yearning for that when we met, right?
Yearning, what do you mean yearning for?
Yearning for like the healing, to move on to the path of
I think both of us came together for a very good reason. We were put together so we could help each other move on with whatever we were dealing with at that time, and also to grow and become more aware and awaken and enlightening who we are, and then to go into our inner worlds, and have a good look about what's going on. And it was a very difficult time at the beginning of our relationship because we had both had a lot of personal issues going on.
Mhm.
So, and then bringing us together, create another set of issues. But I think I'm very thankful for having met Bob, because he's someone that's also very conscious, and I'm also conscious about a lot of things. And then we were able to call each other out. We were able to support each other, and then to help each other grow and get out of those habits that weren't serving us anymore.
Mm.
Is this the first marriage for each of you?
For me, yes.
Sorry, first.
Marriage.
Well, this is my second.
Okay.
When I met him, I was just going through a divorce at that time. So it was extremely difficult. It was like I was, beginning a new life, starting a new chapter, and finding myself, again, after being in a marriage for 15 years. And being with a person, with my ex-husband, I was with him for in total almost 20 years. So, I had to deal with being on my own again, and learning who I am outside of that relationship. And then so came Bo, and he helped me discover my true self again.
With a previous marriage or divorce, and then how tumultuous things were in the beginning of the relationship, what kept you from running, Linda?
That is a very good question. I think we have this connection, and I can't put it into words. It's a connection that I feel like is not. It's a past connection that I may have had with him. I just felt like I've known him forever. That there's a part of him that I can trust, and that I'm comfortable with. That I know that he will always be there for me, regardless of when we blow up and he runs away. But in that sense, he always loved me, no matter what his actions were. So I think that really touched me deeply. And yeah, I think mostly it's that connection. I think right away when you connect with someone, So that's what kept me
hear
together.
that a lot. How long between the time you guys met and got engaged?
Oh wow. I don't know. I don't know, man. What do you think? What was it? 2 years?
He was proposing to me all the time, almost every 2 weeks, like we'll be laying in bed, or we'll be like going for walks, and he'd just stop me and stare me deeply into the eyes, like, sweetheart, will you marry me? Then I always say yes, So he was proposing for a good year, almost 2. And then, we just decided to tie the knot.
Yeah, that became one of those things, right? It was just like, I love you, right? And will you marry me? It was like a I love you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
there wasn't a ring, and
Or
it
a
wasn't
formal
official.
kind of thing.
Oh, he gave, yes. He gave both of his grandmother's rings at different times when he proposed, so he proposed many times. So I got 2 rings. And then some leaf ring too, like a little ring made of leaves too, So, and then we had a quiet wedding at the government office, because it already been through, the standard, big wedding, and I just wanted it for us. I wanted our wedding to be just for him and me, and not for our relatives or not for our friends.
yeah, and I'm a private person too, so I'm really not into stuff like that. So, but yeah, so it worked out great for both of us.
Why do you think you asked her to marry you so many times?
Like I said, it just became like this, like a show of affection. And it just became like our little thing, right? Like, I love you, will you marry me? And like, she'd like get all giddy and smile and say yes. And it was just it was a very it was a beautiful moment. And to be able to do that over and over again, it was just, I don't know, it's awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I'm pretty sure she did as well. So.
And we actually talked about like every country we visit that we'll get married in that country. So we'll get married over and over again in different places.
Yeah, it was just a fun thing that we did, and it just multiplied. And I don't know, just the things that we have done together is like, I've first of all, I just want to say, like, the last 15 minutes of this conversation, I was so loved. I wish you were sitting right here right now. I love you so much. It's nice being able to hear you say it on the other end. And so anyway.
Yeah.
For our listeners, they're podcasting in two different rooms of the house, right?
Same house,
The same house,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's interesting though, the repeating that commitment or that buy-in over and over again, especially given that you guys were older and that maybe some vows that were made previously didn't stick or weren't followed through on, or maybe even, a fear of commitment or something that, like, you needed to have that repetition of, yes, I'm in, yes, you're in, yes, we're doing this. It's kind of cool. Like, in some ways, I think that it's something that should happen every day.
Yeah.
Because if you're not in today, then what happened?
Exactly.
What I mean?
Yeah, I like that. We do that with, like, I love you. Like, I mean, we are, I don't know how many times a day I tell her I love her, and same with her telling me as well. It's just we're very reassuring of each other. And we're very supportive of each other, and we show that our love and our affection and our support for each other, like, not only daily, but like multiple times daily. And it's just, for me, it feels good. And it feels good to be able to show her and tell her, that, even I'm just staring at her earlier, and she's doing her hair before this podcast. I'm just like, wow, it's just a beautiful woman. And to be able to do that, like, if I like, when I feel something, I want to say it, right? And it just helps me, and I want her to know that I'm feeling it, right? And to her to know that, like, she is the apple of my eye. She is my everything. So
Yeah, he's definitely not afraid to express himself. And I have so many sticky notes from all over the house, like in the car too. There was once he put sticky notes all over the inside of my car. So when I got in, I was just like, whoa, showering with sticky notes, or sticky note on the door, on the other side of the door, and I'll open, I'll be like, wow, everything just, I love you, I love you, I love you, you're my world. So it's, yeah, I feel very, very fortunate to have him, and have him love me this much.
You should buy stock in sticky notes.
I know, right?
Or start putting them on dollar bills or whatever the currency is there. There you go.
Oh, there we go. There's one.
So can you describe what is different of being together for 2 years, not being married, and now getting married? And what does it feel like on the other side of that? How would you quantify that?
Very good.
I honestly, what do you want me to go first, or?
Yeah, sure, babe.
Okay. I think, like, I don't think there's still a lot of that magic that was there beforehand. And I think because, we work at keeping that magic alive, and, like, there are routines and stuff that that we do, but Linda and I are really, really big on self-growth and really big on learning. And, like, we don't, we watch Netflix and, stuff like that, but it's not like, I don't think our life is ever boring. Like we're always pushing the envelope. And I think like one quote that stuck with me, and I'm just gonna butcher it. I'm just paraphrasing, but like Eleanor Roosevelt said something like, do something uncomfortable each day. And I think that's so important. Like to stay ahead of the subconscious, to stay out of your routine, and to push yourself to grow. So our motto is kind of, quote unquote motto is like learning and growing and getting better. And we're constantly doing that. So we're both, we're both always in a state of growth and both in a state of change. So there's no stagnation. There's no like our relationship and our lives are always fresh. And I think like that's a big key for, I mean, for anybody's growing and doing, the things that they want to do.
What would you say, Linda?
I feel like the first 2 years before the marriage, and I don't want to put the marriage as a turning point to something, because as he's saying that we're constantly growing and we're constantly changing. But before, when we first we first met each other, like we had a lot of our own personal issues that we're dealing with, and then so trying to grow, in that circumstance and the chaos of our own personal lives and being with each other was very challenging. And I feel like after we got married, we were able we were already past that point of, that initial coming together and bringing our issues and trying to work through it. So by the time we got married, that was just, things started progressing towards a more stable environment for both of us, and then we were able to focus more on our relationship and then growing together as a couple. Whereas before we were together, but we're still trying to grow out of our own issues so that we could be a better partner for each other. And now I can tell you that we're a lot more of a partner and doing things together and growing and learning and challenging ourselves together as we were at the beginning of our relationship. At the beginning of relationship, we're just giving each other the space and giving each other the support to get past those obstacles. But now we do it, side by side. So a lot of the things that I try out, he's always on board with me, and everything that he tries out too, I'm on board with him. Like we're big on being healthy and eating well and exercising, so we try to take care of our physical body as well as our emotional and spiritual aspect of ourselves. So in that sense, I feel very lucky because he also enjoys, looking after himself in all those aspects. So we're always trying something new.
So that physical health was kind of a big common interest for the two of you in the beginning and continues to be to this day, right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that healing and was that one of the pivotal factors that helped you get through some of the obstacles in the beginning?
I think just the healing in general, like, not just the physical, but like, and that's something that we're still dealing with. Like, and I really think I've finally cracked a nut on what I've been fighting with. My own thing was my knee, because I was in 2 accidents when I was younger, and like the first one I crushed. Before that, when I was 15, I like completely wrecked my knee in a soccer match, like ACL, MCL, cartilage, like just wrecked it. And then I had it rebuilt, but it was, and then a few years later, I got in a car accident where I crushed that same knee, like literally like crushed the bone in the knee. And so, I mean, I've still gone and done a lot of stuff, but like the years have caught up, and like, I don't know, I thought that, I was just like starting to get, arthritis, and I was like, I'm over the hill now, and like I'm going down. But I've like always been, I'm very stubborn in the fact that I'm not accepting, those terms. I'm not those labels. Same thing with like alcohol, the alcohol problems. I didn't ever want to be classified as an alcoholic, although, based on my my drinking and drug tendencies, you could definitely put that label on me, but I didn't want to put that on myself. I didn't want to limit myself to like, oh, I can never have a drink again, or I can, that's not, no, which by the way, I beat that, and like, I can have a drink now. So, anyway, so I think like, for me, like, I'm and with Linda too, like, right. I mean, you're finally working on, I mean, do you want to talk about the physical issues you've had?
Ever since I had kids, I went through postpartum depression with two of my sons. So, and I didn't know at the time, and I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, why am I constantly depressed? Why do I not find joy anymore in life? And then I was gaining, a lot of weight. I started turning to food to, comfort me and to make me feel like, okay, I'm in control of something, even though I'm actually not in control because I'm binge eating, I'm losing control. But in a sense, I feel like, okay, this is the only thing that I can rely on, that I can trust to give me what I need, Everything else felt like it was out of my control. So I dealt with food addiction for a long time. And the addiction was it took hold of me for like, sometimes I would spend all day looking for a cake or a sweet or something to just binge. And once I started, I just could not stop. I would have 3, 4, 5 pieces of cake sitting in the car. Like, that classic addictive behavior where you're embarrassed to show anyone what you're doing, and you have to do it at a time where, you have no family around and away from home. So that actually got hold of me, and I started feeling sick. I started feeling, lethargic, and I started losing my memory and feeling like that fog, that constant fog that would never lift no matter what I did, even though I was doing exercises and even though I was doing all this emotional healing as well, I still couldn't beat the food addiction. And I had many other issues too, not just physical, but I had a lot of emotional issues that stem from my relationship with my mom. Like, she's a classic Asian tiger mom. So there was a lot of conflict between my true self and trying to please her and do what she wanted me to do. So that was a very, very difficult challenge, and I'm still dealing with that. But I can say that the past 5, 6 years, ever since I met Bo, that things have gotten a lot better. And then she's, also growing and changing to make our relationship better. So now with the food addiction, I can say I'm pretty much healed. I would say 80% healed. I still have moments, but then when those moments come, I'm very aware of it, and I know to make the changes so that I keep moving forward and I don't fall back on it. Yeah.
How did your families respond to your relationship and getting married?
I think my parents, they accepted Bo. Yeah. And I think they've learned to just respect my decisions. Before, they had a lot of opinions about everything, and they had opinions about my divorce. They had an opinion about how I raised my kids, and they were very, very disappointed that I got a divorce because they're very traditional, and they felt like, well, once you're in a marriage, you're in a marriage forever. There's no way out. You just stay until you leave this earth. But now they've just learned, like I said, like my relationship with my parents, and mostly my mom, have improved a lot. And then she's just learned to take a step back and then to really respect me and then respect what Bo and I have going on. And they are happy that they have Bo in the family to be part of my life, because then they trust that Bo can be there for me and then to help me through a lot of things and to love me and take care of me. So they're very grateful to have someone there, because it shows. When he's with me, it shows. He's very doting, he's very loving, very caring. And anyone that's around us can tell how much this man, loves me and adores me. So they're
The thing too with your mom is like, as Linda grew and became the beautiful woman that she was, a beautiful woman beforehand, right? But as she's blossomed even more, her growth, it's like the old saying, like, be the change that you want to see in others, right? So like by her growing and by her becoming and beating her own demons and growing into who she is now, her mother, like, that actually has, benefited their relationship just by Linda changing, right? Not by Linda changing her mom, but by Linda becoming a better person and, being more true to herself. Her mom is actually, not fully, but, she has backed off some. So that is, I really feel like, if you want to see change in other people, change yourself first and see what happens.
That's awesome. What about your family, Bo? How did they respond?
I have for a while. I've kept the majority of my family at an arm's distance. There was when I started changing and going through what I was going through. I put my family through a lot of stuff with my alcohol and drug abuse. And when I started making changes, there was things that I was picking up in their relation in our relationship that I didn't agree with, and I put them. I was like, all right, I'm not comfortable with how this is going right now, so you're out of my circle. So, and for me, I needed that space, and so I had kept my aunt and uncle in the loop, and they were always extremely supportive and non-judgmental of the stuff that I was doing. So with them, they knew every step that I was taking. Like I told them as soon as I met Linda, but the rest of my family is no. But yeah, that was my choice, and it's helped me become who I am now. And I've since made amends with my family, and but I still keep the majority of my family at an arm's distance. I'm comfortable with where I am now and with my relationship with Linda, and I've built the world that I want around me, and the people that are in it, and the people that are not are not.
How do you guys work through conflict?
Oh wow, it's like now it's so amazing. Like
we're going through an evolution from the beginning of our relationship to now.
Yeah, now we talk through things. It's just so admirable where we are right now to be able to have a disagreement and be like, I don't like where this is going, or I don't like what's happening here. All right, so what do we need to do to make it we are conscious during the entire exchange, right? To where it used to be like, you're doing this, or like, just explode, right? Or vice versa. It worked both ways. And
he would just walk out the door. He would or we'll have arguments in the car, and he'd be like, stop here, and then you just leave the car. Wherever we're going, or walk home, So like he mentioned before, he had those tendencies of just running away. And I'm so proud of you, babe. Like he's completely dropped that. Completely. I used to be his go-to answer for everything. We started an argument, he got a little bit upset, walk out the door.
That was using what we learned, the Amani system that I'm using now, it's just like I connected with that, with the whole divorce thing. And I was like, because I always want, like, why, I walked away from some really good opportunities, right? Not with what I did with Linda, but I left countries, before, I left America when in my 20s, right? That's just how I operated. And I left many different countries and other relationships and other businesses and things. I just ran away. And to be able to stop that was just huge. And so, yeah, now we talk, and it's to be where we are now. It's just amazing.
Yeah. And then I think also what's big for us, we always find a solution. We look for a solution to our problem. We don't just talk it out so we feel better. Like, okay, there's this issue, we're talking about it. I'm letting you know how I feel. Now, what can we do next? So the frequency of this happening gets less and less and less. I know a lot of people just talk about it, and then so they feel better, they let it out of their chest, but then nothing happens after. And then you keep going through the same cycle over and over and over again. You're like, oh, what's going on? Why am I doing this? Why are we doing this again? You know? So like we had our fair share of that, but that's getting less and less and less as we learn to communicate with each other better. And I think the most important is like not being defensive about everything and not being reactive about what the other person is saying. Because the minute you're reactive, your defenses are up and your walls are up and you're not willing to listen. You're not willing to acknowledge anything. You're not willing to, make amends because you're on the defense mode. So I think we've learned to just put our defenses down, put our guards down, and then the way we approach each other too is not in a judgmental way, or we're working on that, and it's gotten so much better. So I'm able to come and talk to him about things and know that I'm safe, that I'm not going to be judged, that I'm not going to be, walked out on, and stuff like that. And after we finish talking, and another thing is like the time it takes for us and where we start the argument and then where we end it and we find a solution is gotten shorter and shorter and shorter. Or it used to take like days and we'll get upset with each other for days. And now, okay, we could get it solved and done within minutes or 15, 20, 30 minutes and be like, okay, we got this done, we solved, it's out of the way, continue with our day.
Yeah.
Do you think age has something to do with it? So, but our brains continue to develop, and especially when we get over 40 and we start going through some really major hormonal changes, that's what we found is that as we've gotten older, it's really shifted the way that we are able to think and feel and connect and process. Have you guys noticed anything along those lines?
We've been through so much. I'm not sure. Like, I've never thought about the age thing. So, but that is definitely a huge, should be a huge consideration, actually.
Did you have kids from a previous marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so did they live with you in the beginning of the relationship? Of your relationship, yeah.
Well, yeah. So they spend half of their time with their dad, and then the other half time with us.
Okay. And how did they, respond and react to the two of you coming together and getting married?
Oh, they love Bo. They like Bo, and then they're always like writing little notes. I love you, Bo. You're my family. So it's very cute.
That's awesome.
They're very open-minded, and then the way me and their dad approach the whole situation was in a very positive manner, and we respect.
Yeah, that was cool. I was very when they went through that, and like when she told me how they were handling the divorce with the kids, because like when my parents, they sat us down, right, and it was just like they made a big event out of it, so it was like I was like. Oh my God, well, they never made a big event out of it. It was just like they transitioned. And so the kids never had to look at it like it was, this earth shattering thing. And so it never was this earth shattering thing. It was just a gradual change, which was, I don't know her ex-husband that well, but that's one nice thing I do have to say about him. So,
yeah.
Can you talk more about that, Linda? How did you do that? And how conscious were you about that? What was important to you about going through divorce like that?
There were so many factors and so many issues that I had to deal with. So it's not just my own. I was just starting to see Bo at that time too. And then there were my kids and there were my husband, So there was a lot of things to consider, and mostly was how the kids were going to get affected. So we actually made a lot of effort to spend, their dad and I, to spend time with the kids together as a family, So it's not like all of a sudden mommy and daddy are two completely different places. And, having completely separate lives. Like we still made an effort to do things together with them. And then we didn't talk to them about divorce. We just let them get into the whole feeling that, okay, sometimes mom is away, sometimes dad is away. And we explained to them what we were doing. So they were aware of what we were doing. And everything that we approached, any issues we approached with them, we approached in a very, very positive way. There was nothing negative. And then we never spoke ill of each other. So whenever I was dealing with the kids and they were giving me a difficult time, their dad would be like, okay, let's sit down and see what's going on. Like you should also help your mom. Your mom is going through all of this, So we spoke for each other when we're dealing with the kids. And I think they never felt like we were enemies. They never felt like we were against each other. They never felt like, we were trying to put each other down. No, they actually still had a very supportive environment from us. So.
Wow. Yeah.
A lot of effort, but now it's very natural. We still have a family. We meet together once a week for a family day, just the four of us with their dad, me, and the two kids, and then they get to choose where they go, and we spend a day as a family. We talk to each other. Their dad's girlfriend is very involved. So any decision we make regarding the kids, we do it all together, as a group of family. So they say it takes a village to raise the children, and we have a wonderful village. We have the support of so many people together, to help them out and to guide them and to love them. So in a sense, I feel like they're very lucky because now their family doubled in size, and they have like 5 grandmas that just spoil them and want like gifts and take them out and spend time with them. And they have so many uncles and aunts and cousins too. So it's wonderful. It turned out really good.
That seems like a very ideal situation, and transition. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, it's the way they handled it, right? That they turned it into that ideal situation, right?
Mhm.
So many people handle things, they handle things the wrong way. They like the good word that Linda used earlier was like reactive, right? So as soon as, a classic story of a divorce in America is right, boom, lawyers involved and like, this person taking half of this person taking half of this, and it's like a war, right? It's just like full on battle. And like the way they handled their situation was not, there was no battle. There was no at the beginning, right? There was some fizzling and, but that, it was dialed in and worked it with. And so like, it turned out the way it has because the way it was handled, throughout the process.
We put that intention there, we made it clear. And in the beginning it was hard because he was hurt. I was the one that wanted a divorce. So he was extremely hurt. And I understood that. And I gave him time to get over that. And I was very understanding too. And we tried to talk through a lot of the things that we were going through. And because of the intention that we put in there, like today, I can honestly tell you that we have a good and respectful relationship. I mean, there's still moments where we disagree on some things, but we're not at all petty. We're not at all, catty to each other and disrespectful. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's great.
So, Bo, can you talk more about how you got into doing this work and what do you do with people?
Yeah, so what I do now is like, so Lynn and I had like a few years ago, we had like a really big argument. It was just like, and we'd done so, we'd done so many things, both together and individually to like move the needle, but it always felt like we were just coming back to the same, we'd make a step forward and then it was not, it wasn't like 2 steps, progress, and then 1 step back. It was just like we were making a step forward and step back. It was just like this, it's almost like sadistic dance that we were doing. It was really tough. Like we loved each other so much, but then it was like it just wasn't. And we were finally like, all right, we've got and Linda told me, she was like, look, you've read all these books, you've taken all these courses, you spend all this money on, all these people to move the thing. And like, nothing's worked. She was like, I want you to, seek some outside help. And I was like, all right, I've tried everything on my own. Like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I offer myself to you to help find a solution. Right. So we had a friend who was a Buddhist monk who went to monk school with a guy who was doing this program called the Spiral. And it was put together by this Australian guy. And the first day that I went through it, it was just like, bam. I was like, oh, this is it. Like, my life just immediately started dismantling, like the way that I viewed life, like my programs, the emotions that I had been hanging on to, my trauma from my youth, all just started pop. All these little bubbles of awareness started just like popping. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this to myself. Like, I am in this, this reality that I've created because of the decisions that I've been making. And you're like, and I didn't even know I was making it. So, and that was the frustrating part. Like, the frustration that we feel is our conscious intentions going against our subconscious program. So you might want to lose weight or get healthy or, have a great relationship with your wife. But if you've got these subconscious programs going on, that telling you that you're worthless and that, your dad was, a jerk to your mom or whatever. Right. And like, that, it's just not, the things, the friction that you feel, the frustration you feel, the friction between those two, the conscious and subconscious program. So when I was able to go inside and find those, and I learned how to do it on my own, I was like, oh, my life just started completely changing. And like, I was still, at that point, I was still not drinking. And now I don't drink. I had a couple beers a few weeks ago after we went through COVID. But before I stopped drinking, I was at an 18 pack a day. And then I was drinking Jack Daniels at night to go to sleep. Right. And I had drank like that for almost 2 decades, for over 2 decades, just abusively drinking. And when I was going through this work with this other individual, I was like, look, man, if we're finding these emotions, right, and these emotions are self-sabotaging me, causing me to drink, causing me to run away, or causing me to do these things, then I should be able to drink again, right? He's like, dude, don't. Like, I would not go there. I was sold on the fact that I could, and I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to put myself into this, I'm an alcoholic, I can never drink again. I think, if, our addiction changes our brain, but then we've learned about neuroplasticity, right? So why can't I change it back, So that was my thing. I was like, I'm going in, I'm dealing with this. Like, maybe you don't believe in it, but I do. So, and from there, I just started dismantling every problem that I had. Our Linda and I's arguments, like, they were still, getting heated and getting out of control. And then I was walking away. Like, I haven't done that in almost a year. Like, drinking, I can now, like, I can have a beer. Before I did that, like, drinking a beer, it was just like that addiction would wake up and it would just like consume me. And I was like, oh, I was like Linda with the cakes, right? I was just like going down to just boom, boom, boom. It was never one. It was I couldn't stop. And like all the other, like all my the way I think, the voices in my head, the way that I talk to myself, like everything has completely changed. Like, I've found those programs and I've been able to move them through this process of Amoni, which involves muscle testing, meridian points, the meridian chart, meridian release points, a pranayamic breath called the Amo breath, which is love breath, and then we use some creative visualization at the end to magnetize the future and put it all together. It's life-changing. Just helped me, it's helped Linda, it's helped the people that we work with. It's just amazing.
Wow, that's great. So do you guys work on this together?
The Amoni I do on my own.
Okay.
So, and then Linda's helped me. Like, she's my partner in everything, so she does help. And so yeah, but we're always bouncing ideas off of each other, and like, I help her with we do some clearing, and she helps me, like, sometimes if I'm going through something, and like, she'll put me on the monocord. Have you guys ever seen a monocord before? It's like a healing bed.
No, we haven't.
Oh man, that's a beautiful experience. It's like this, it's like basically a bed with strings underneath it. And this is what she's working on now. But you tell them about it, sweetheart.
Well, so I do the sound healing part of, the healing journey that we've started together. It's something that I gravitate towards, like sounds. It's something that connects me right away to the universe, and I feel a lot through sounds and vibrations and frequencies. So this is the road that I'm taking, and this is my calling. And I use the monochord bed. So it's a wood bed, very simply made with 55 strings on the bottom, like piano strings tuned to the same note. So technically, you think, okay, 55 strings are the same note, like what kind of sound does it make? But what it does is that it plays your body and it resonates your frequency. So there would be, like, say, blockages throughout your body, not just the physical part, but also the spiritual part, And then through playing the bed, I can locate those blockages and then work on it and help, the frequency regulate in that part of your body. Because anything that's hurting or anything that's blocked, it means that the frequency in that part, it's not where it's supposed to be. So with the bed and then playing the bed, you bring you up to balance, and then you feel a lot better after the session.
That's very interesting. And what out of curiosity, what note is it tuned to?
F.
F.
It's a heart chakra.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow.
And then so when we come together, Bo and I, like, we help each other so much with the harmony clearing. He was helping me almost on a daily basis. Like when we wake up, we'll sit on our porch. We have the whole view of the ocean. And then he will go through like an hour of clearing for me and with me. Like, so he'll help me clear my chakras, help me clear my emotions so I can start the day right. And he also helped me with my food binging. He helped me with the relationship that I have with my mom. So when you have those emotional blockages clear, you're able to start anew, and you're able to empty everything out that's been weighting you down, and putting you in that cycle. And then you're able to take that first step towards a new, new way of living. So
Choice, right?
Yes.
So once we discover these emotions, then before, they're like Linda was talking about, how with the sound healing, right, and how these emotional blockages that she finds with the sound healing, they're like embodied in the body, right? The body holds on to them, right? So when we find these emotions and move them, we become conscious of the subconscious programs that we were holding on to, the things that we say, do, think, feel, the energy that we give off on a subconscious level. Like there's like little bubbles, and those bubbles pop. And when those bubbles pop, we will, oh my God, I've been saying this, or I've been doing this, or I've been feeling this, or I've been thinking this. And so once we're conscious of it, then we have a choice, right? Then if we don't know we're doing something, then there's no way to fix it. But once we're conscious of it, then we can be like, oh, okay, now I know I've been doing that. Now I can keep doing that if I want the same result, or I can do something different, right? And so and that's helped her, it's helped me, and it's just really it's so amazing, because it's like it's very methodical, and it's like, I mean, it's just like going in and like you're going in with a map, and you're finding these emotions, and you're just connecting with them, and you're moving them, and it's just a really cool process.
And where can people find out more about Harmony, or even getting a copy of your book?
Yeah, so the website, harmonyclear.com, is the best place to go. You can register I'm doing some live webinars right now too, so you can sign up for that. Reach out, the contact page, send me a message. I'm not gonna bite.
And that's spelled AMONI.com.
Harmonyclear.com. So it's AMONICLEAR.com.
Awesome.
Great.
And we'll put the links in the show notes too.
Cool. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it, Ray. Gene.
So last question.
What is it that your partner does that you know they love you?
Too many to even talk about.
There's no one thing. I agree with Linda. There's
Yeah.
like just our relationship itself, just waking up with me in the bed, it's like in the morning, it's just enough for me to realize that like she loves me. Like just the way that we're throughout my life I've had, and Linda, we've all had relationships, right? And so this is the first time that I've ever been in a relationship, that I've ever been with somebody, then I realized like, this person has got me. Like, this is like, I have no doubt. And she's constantly reassuring me throughout the day that she does, like the way she, looks at me, the way that she tells me that she loves me, just the like little things that she does. Like she sometimes, like she'll cook dinner, if she cooks and I wash dishes, like, if she washes the clothes, like I fold them. Like we are the epitome of team. And it's just, that's how we roll.
I think for me, and I can tell this very honestly, I've never experienced with any of my previous relationship before, is how present he is. The minute I speak, he drops everything, he stops everything, and he looks me in the eye and he listens to me. He's not like on the phone or busy listening, doing something else as I'm speaking. Like he's always so present for me and with me. And I really appreciate that, because I know that, he's putting that time, the effort, the energy into being with me. And then so whenever we go out together, it's always quality time, because he didn't own a smartphone until a couple months ago. He's very conscious about technology and how technology influences us, takes a lot of our time and so on. So every time we go out and do something together, he's always there 100%, always 100%, and then, so that makes me feel like I'm loved. Just that action alone is like, wow, and he always like, I'll walk by and he just grab me, turn me around, and then look me into the eyes like, I love you, babe. I love you, sweetheart. And then just plant a kiss on my cheeks, So I think his presence is what I really appreciate.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, Bo and Linda, for being on our podcast today.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Like I said, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you for joining us today on Couple Synergy. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships. And this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners.
People have been sharing stories since the beginning of time to bond and heal and grow. We hope that by you guys sharing your story, it's enriched your lives and the lives of our listeners.
For all of you listening, please let us know how you enjoyed our show. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as Relationship 101, our home study course, the Couples Weekend Intensive, and our premier coaching program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com.
And if you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please download it and share it. And thank you for listening.
Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.